Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah. Well, we're really late this week. An hour later than usual. Everyone's gone.
Oh, here we go.
Yay.
I couldn't find where my app was, so I was like, hey, Siri, open Skype.
Okay. The guest user is still there. Can we boot it?
Yeah, who is the guest?
It was Pat's old.
Oh, it's the phone one. Okay.
I just kicked your old guest out.
My old
If you don't mind. See, I just realized. So Ben's in landscapes, Pat's in portrait. I don't know about Rob. I was thinking, is it better for me to go on video in portrait or landscape?
Do what your heart decides.
I have it this way because at least I'm looking in the camera, whereas if I have it sideways, I notice that I'm always looking away from the camera. So like if I show you.
Of us.
See, I'm looking at the phone, but I'm looking away from the camera.
Yeah. Since both me and Camilla, what I'll do, you ready to go on camera? Okay. Right now you're blocked. You're censored. just in case.
Yeah. Hey, Camilla. Go.
Hey,
Yo.
guys.
Yeah. I'll go like this since there's both of us because that makes more sense.
Is it for tonight?
I think so. If bloody Rob turns up.
Yeah. I asked Ben as well because I couldn't remember like who, but he reminded me. Yeah, it's just us five. Yes. Cool. So Ben, Rob, Pat.
I will
Then-
put my phone actually.
Okay. Yeah, you know where they are.
Okay.
He was. Rob started the Skype, and then he disappeared. I don't know what happened. He's in Dagenham. He's in Dagenham at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Around Afghanistan and not that.
Guess not. He hasn't said anything. Ballet was really great. It was Alice in the Adventures in Wonderland.
Oh, okay.
Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. And
Oh.
it went all out with all the props, the costumes, comedy, different styles of dancing. It was great. It's not ballet as you would expect it typically. It felt more like a show you might see it like Sadler's Wells, but on a grander stage with a bigger budget.
Oh, cool. Was it like?
It just doesn't have an orchestra pit.
Yeah, it doesn't have a huge orchestra.
Very small, like group of musicians. Was this like Royal Opera House doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know of this. I think they were doing like a brief, like 1 week screening of it in cinemas the same week it was playing.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they do. So they tend to have quite big productions. They tend to have a cinema broadcast as well because they'll live.
Yeah, they've done that for many years.
The night when they record it, they'll broadcast it and like stream it to cinemas.
That's why I like.
That's how I've seen it. I didn't see it at the cinema, but then I saw that recording.
That's very cool.
We can always do that in the future. That's what I like. I think in the
for streaming platform. They started during COVID.
but we don't
Yeah.
have the sound system and the screens of a huge freaking cinema.
Oh, I'm just saying, if you wanted to watch something at home, you can stream it.
Oh yeah, I didn't mean it like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I liked about the way before we together when I worked in the cinema. I could back then I could watch it as well in the cinema, and I liked that because I could not afford to go
Yeah,
to it. And
that's what's
Well,
cool
to be
about
fair,
it,
you didn't afford to go to it. Well,
because
I used to pay like
I would
£8
not
a ticket.
sit there. I've
I-
had to overcome.
I always sit in the cheap seats, and before COVID, I never paid more than maybe £12, which is why I went to the ballet like £12 a year, because I always sat in the cheap seats.
So the
The same as going to the cinema.
cheap seats are. It's almost as high as the tool seats, Ben.
oh,
It's scary for me. I've had to really overcome like being able to sit there. And when we had a break during COVID, I actually had like a mini panic attack, kind of like adjusting back to it because I'm just like, this is really scary. So I
Jeez.
would not have done that before I met you. So that wasn't an option for me,
was
especially when
yes,
when
because some of the old theatres are really even more like, you think the O2 is steep, but the old theatres in London, like I can't remember the Adelphi Theatre or one of the Prince Charles, or one of them that's really like really old. The seats are so
Mhm.
like up there again. Like this is like the first row, and then the next row is like that, and then next row is like that. It is mental. So I can understand why they're cheap, and they're cheap for a reason because of how insanely high they are. And it's like the view is like, wait, I'm just looking down to my knees, and there's the stage.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like like you said, with the Royal Opera House where we are, we're in the lower slip. You have to kind of be like this on the banister, which is a straight. You don't feel like you don't feel as at risk compared to the O2 and some other places, but it is just as steep. There's like you're leaning over the kind of banister to kind of see what's going on because you can't see the whole stage, and it's just a flat drop. If anything were to happen, like if you like you're standing up but you kind of lose your balance, that this
Yeah, that's
and
not
there's people
nice.
standing up above you, like just behind you, it is well kind of thing. Anyway,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a interesting one.
That's
Anyway,
me of where I saw The Lion King. Can't remember the theatre in London, but it was like quite a grade straight up.
Yeah, I forget then. Is it the Adelphi Theatre? Something like that?
Lyceum.
Lyceum, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's a great classic one. But yeah, you're right. It is right at the back. It's so high.
Yeah. My mum doesn't like heights at the best of times, so she was a bit worried when we were all the way up near the top.
But yeah, I hope it was worth it. I'm sure it was. But yeah.
But I'm a daredevil when it comes to arenas.
Hmm.
Sit at the top.
Oh yeah. Do you remember when we went to Twickenham to see Metallica? That was mental. That climb.
The only problem with that was climbing up them steps, because I was a good chunk bigger then as well.
Yeah. Because it was where we were sitting, it was fine, but it was just getting to the top just felt like forever, didn't it?
Do you remember when we got to the top and I had to take a drag of my asthma pump?
really,
Yeah, it was like 50 stories high, pretty much. Or at least it felt it.
At least the Wembley got escalators.
Yeah, Wembley, at least you don't notice it. Like, same with the O2, you don't notice how high you're getting until you're there. That's what got Emmanuel, because it was like, yeah, it's just strolling up the escalator and strolling up here, and then you get up into the opening the doors, and then you see suddenly the seats behind you, right below you, and the stage. It's like, Oh, we're literally 100 floors high. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right. What what do we do with Rob? Is he?
I don't know. I think Rob's. Yeah, he didn't say what the hell he's up to because he should be. He was ready like from 10 o'clock, as far as I know.
Yeah, I assume something just happened, but
Yeah, hopefully things are right. But yeah, I assume it is.
I just suggest just starting, and he can join when he's ready.
Yeah, he will join. He'll come in.
okay. All right then. In that case, I'm gonna. Why did you choose? I Am Love. It's for the entertainment. I don't know.
I chose this film because, well, I've wanted Emmanuel to watch it for years, and we've never got to watching it. And I basically just want to hear you guys' take on it because I quite enjoy it. I think that it's beautifully shot. I love the set design and the costumes, and there's a few bits of the plot that are a bit contrived, but and kind of storylines that kind of it's not really clear why they're happening, but I still enjoy it. I still think it's an interesting film. It's about, I think, like, it on the surface it seems like it's this romance and blah blah blah, but what it's really is about is like just finding yourself and finding contentment or happiness in your own life. And I think that's a nice theme. And also I like the soundtrack. The soundtrack's good fun. So yeah, that's why I picked this. There's not a ton of thought beyond just wait to see what you guys would think.
Cool. Yeah, if I don't think about like what was happening in the story or characters or whatnot, yeah, it it looked all right, or it looked probably quite nice for the time when it came out.
It's not that old.
It's not, but it also, I don't think it had a big budget. Looking at how many people were on the credits, I think they did well with how few people were in the credits that worked on the film.
In 2009.
Yeah, 2009. That's 15. Is it 15 years ago now? Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot has kind of, I guess, progressed in that time when it comes to filmmaking and quality across the board. But it was still like they still did well, like for the time as well. It's
Yeah.
just,
Oh, sorry.
huh?
I was like, it felt like a sort of lower budget independent film.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was still good for the time in that way. The soundtrack, yeah, it was nice. Um, I think I just more found Tilda Swinton's actions or choices annoying, um, past a certain point in the film.
You didn't see what you watched the film.
Yesterday, it wasn't a good judge because I was in a lot of pain. And so I wasn't gonna look, I was enjoying anything.
Wait, what pain are we talking about?
What'd you say, Ben?
What pain was it?
Oh, I'm still like recovering.
Oh, it's something. It wasn't anything new. Okay, I was worried that you like fell over and hurt yourself.
Oh yeah, no, nothing new. I just, yeah, that plus sleep deprivation. I really, plus a long day with work. I really wasn't yet feeling good. I was struggling to stay awake, and that was not anything I heard about Camilla. I just want to try and watch as much as possible before today, because I know what I'm like when it comes to leaving things to the last minute, and I had to watch the last half an hour on the way back today because I
Called
didn't
it.
manage to watch it earlier. Huh?
Had Ben called it as well, because
Good.
we hadn't seen any other scores, so
Oh,
he's
yeah.
probably going to watch it on the.
Yeah, that was the problem. Isn't it? The only choice. What
Camilla
which
could have
the,
scored it earlier, but she
which
forgot.
theatre was it you came back from again?
Huh?
What was the theatre you went to the opera for?
So it's the Royal Opera House near Tottenham Court Road, or
Oh,
TM1.
okay. So it wasn't that far, but it's only about 45 minutes
No.
home.
Yeah, near Covent Garden. So yeah, it's around about 45 to 50 minutes
Cool.
to get home. I mean, it's not bad. But yeah, I wouldn't have sounded like I was enjoying it because it was
You didn't talk about it as if you. At the point when Eduardo falls over and hits his head, like you shouted, got up and said, "Right, you done," and we turned the film off.
Whereas
yeah,
men were like,
I wasn't
what the
I
crap?
wasn't
What the
I
crap?
wasn't finished. I wasn't finished kind of saying
Sorry, go on.
okay. Um I was fine with the film up until the point where she started acting suspicious, um, rushing after Antonio, and they were doing some weird music that made it sound like something crazy was going down. And nothing was happening except her kind of trying to rush up to him, but also avoid being seen by him. And I'm just like, this music is too dramatic. I think up until that point, it was it was all right. Like I was all right with it. Like you had Eduardo being a fool when it comes to the restaurant thing. Like, dude, you while you definitely do care about certain things a lot, family, your fiance, etc. You don't have the greatest sense, and your fiance is right. Like, why are you agreeing to fund some restaurant out in this place? Uh, we'll get more into other things. I was just like, suspicious about, sus about. But I was fine up until that point. And then after that, I was like, what is she doing? And then she started with the affair. I'm just like, I'm just I'm just tired. And then everything that happened afterwards basically was a consequence of those choices. And I'm just like, nothing good happened after that. It wasn't it wasn't a story that I guess I liked after that. It's basically just showing possible consequences of infidelity. Is that what?
Yeah, it was infidelity.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if that was
But
the
it
right
wasn't
meaning.
about infidelity. Like, yeah, she was being unfaithful, but it's more about her like choosing herself and finding herself timing decade.
Which is fair. However, the way she went about it, it wasn't done in a way like her daughter did it, because that was cool. Like the way her daughter went about it, trying to make sure whether it was a phase or if it was a truly how she feels, usually how she is now. That was cool. That made sense. I was happy for her. But the mom, the way she went about it was reckless. And because she didn't go about it in a better way. I didn't end up getting, oh, it's about finding yourself. I just felt like, oh, this is basically consequences to doing something in just not a good way. It's fair. The movie is not necessarily about that, and I get that. I was just like, yeah, yeah. Anyway, that's me. Um, next person can say the bit.
Yeah. Oh, well, you know the drama of me watching this film. That was a pain in the ass. That's no dig at Camilla at all, and no dig at the film in any way. It's just like, goddamn, BFI player is just so goddamn
Yeah.
annoying. Why
We
would you
need
not
to.
have? Well,
Sorry.
I was just like, why would the rented film that you paid for not be available in the Google Play Store? What the?
Yeah, we all need to leave really bad reviews,
Yeah.
1-star reviews on the App Store. It used to actually be like 2 stars. I don't know how the app got up to 4 stars. Like, did some people get disillusioned with like get mystified
Yeah, maybe.
with some new updates they made? It used to be an extremely basic app where you couldn't even browse
Anything but
stuff. You
play.
had to, yeah, it only played a link that opened from your browser.
Yeah,
That was it. It maybe casted. It did almost nothing.
yeah. What we living in 2004? What's going on?
Ugh.
Well, and that's you know what's really annoying is that Corey told me is that, oh, you know that it's playing on like Canadian YouTube to rent. And I was like, oh god damn it, if I could just
It's playing on what?
it's on YouTube, Canadian YouTube. And I could have just rented it on there and used your VPN to log in. And just watched it on that. And, I was like,
Oh, that's good.
and it'd have
I
been in
didn't
proper
think
HD
about
too.
that.
But
You
never
can't
mind.
use movie to rent it either.
Yeah. Like I kept talking about, oh, I need to rent it. I need to rent it. And I'm renting it.
Yeah.
And we both forgot. She was just like, okay, yeah. And then as soon as I was about to play it, I was just like,
Have it DVD.
you never stopped me.
Oh.
Like, oh, I thought, yeah, I wasn't really paying attention. I was like, oh,
Oh,
we didn't have to go through all this stuff.
because if I'd known that, I would have just bought the DVD as well. That's what I'd have done last week. Buying the DVD probably been the best option. And it's like, yeah, I just put it on. That'd be fine. Oh, Pat, you're muted. You're muted, Pat.
That's why. That's why you couldn't hear me. I remember Camilla saying last week that she had the DVD.
Oh,
Yeah.
but Emmanuel did not.
Come on, it's that.
It's like I remember we have the film, but yeah,
Actually, the important thing is, did you have a disc drive?
yeah.
On the app.
The Xbox One X can play the DVD port.
Oh, sweet. So you could play it from the console. Sweet. That's cool. But yeah, the film was interesting. I found like the first half bit more ponderous and slow than I expected. But as it went on, and when you really get into Tilda Swinton's character and you understand her motives and her passions and stuff, you kind of get more into the story in that regard. So I preferred the second half just because once you get into the who the family is and the dynamic of who's who and what's what and how she is and how she feels about her husband and everyone else in the family, it kind of works and coalesces into something that's quite has something to say. And I remember, I think one thing behind the scenes was like that it was supposed to be quite a long film. It was like they trimmed it down quite considerably. I don't know if that would have helped it or hindered it in a way, but the original cut was like 220 minutes or something, which was like, oh, that's a long one. But I felt that the length of it in this regard was good. But
yeah, change.
yeah, I think it isn't that there isn't much stuff happens. When stuff does happen, it's quite well. It does take you back because you don't expect it. Like obviously the big, huge, tragic death in the final act. Um, and it has this horrible, bittersweet ending to it because it kind of only ends one way or another. It kind of the way the family is, you can't see them forgiving Tilda Swinton's character in any other way than it just like she has to say goodbye and move on because the damage is done. It's kind of like squandered their reputation and what have you. Even though she never set out to do anything maliciously or deliberately, it still happened the way it did. And it scarred us so much. And going through something like that, I don't think you could come back from it. So yeah, it makes you think, and it's kind of like, oh, I wasn't sure if I like this film, but the more I think about it, I do appreciate like the risks it took. And obviously, like you said, the soundtrack is so like balls to the wall, epic, and in some cases over the top. But it did remind me of like I think I don't know if Emmanuel would know or anyone else, but it did remind me of a Johnny Greenwood soundtrack. Johnny Greenwood is the guy from Radiohead, he's the guitarist, and he went on to do soundtracks with Paul Thomas Anderson. And they're very much like this. They're very big, grand, operatic, kind of bombastic scores, very like string focused, and it just had that vibe of just being really quite lush and just epic in scope. So it kind of made the film bigger than it actually is. Because I think a smaller score probably might work better with it, but it wouldn't have made the film as memorable, I don't think, in certain ways. So it kind of like was a good juxtaposition because it's quite upbeat and not upbeat, but quite propulsive and rhythmic, and it kind of like makes you more engaged in the story because of how propulsive it is, and it kind of gets you more involved in what's happening and heightens the emotions of what's going on. So that was quite an ingenious idea, I felt. Even if it's like, oh wait, what's going on? Why is this so dramatic? Oh, she's just left. Oh, that's it. It's just like, oh, okay, we're gonna just do it that way. But it's still, I did like it for that reason. It's just like, yeah, that's probably the reason why like I like Hans Zimmer and Christopher Nolan as composers, because like his scores are so like big and bombastic anyway. They don't always kind of like they're going so much louder than the dialogue and stuff. It's kind of like, oh, the score is driving the film, and the score drove this film as well. So I appreciate that. So yeah, there's a lot to admire in this one. So I can get why Camilla liked it, and I think I like what Alex said. I think more if I watched it again, I'd probably be more appreciative of it because I don't know what to expect, but now I do know what to expect. I can sort of understand what they were trying to go for.
I think the soundtrack is quite interesting because, as you say, it is so dramatic. Like sometimes it feels a bit OTT for the scene.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting about it is that it kind of, the music takes you on a journey that an opera does, where there's kind of hurried bits and you don't quite understand necessarily why it's like such a tense moment, like what you were saying about when she's following him around. But it's because it's an important moment and it's trying to use the music to get across kind of the frenzy and indecision and all of that's in her head. And if you think of like a lot of operas, they end, well, I don't know that much about opera, but there's a lot of operas that end in a tragic way, that the fact that the whole movie, its soundtrack kind of feels a bit operatic. It's very, very orchestral. And then like the climax of the film is like out of nowhere, someone dying. I can't remember how I felt the first time I saw it. I think I saw it when I was in uni. But I don't know if, and obviously you guys can let me know if like you can quite see where it's going until kind of you get there. But I think it kind of, the very dramatic music, and it feels, yeah, just this over the topness kind of it sets it up for it to be something tragic but unexpected. Like you're waiting for something bad to happen.
Mhm.
I mean, I didn't see anyone dying coming. And then I also didn't see them finding out about her and Antonio by her just straight up going, you know what, F it. I love Antonio. What? Because even though like they the husband and maybe a family member here there would have held maybe a little resentment that they had an argument, and that's basically how he ended up going. Maybe if they both weren't so hot-headed, uh, because that's how they were seen in the family, maybe he wouldn't have died. But it was an unfortunate accident. But the fact that she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm also cheating on you," like that's
Yeah.
what broke the camel's back. And the husband's just like, "All right, bye, you don't exist," which is messed up.
Yeah.
But like, if it wasn't for her saying that, he would still be sitting there with the rest of them.
Because I don't think they quite understand what the argument is or what even with her revealing that she was having the affair, I still don't think the family would necessarily connect the son's death to the affair. I think
It's just like they probably think of two separate things because
when tragic things happen, people in the immediate kind of circle do kind of, when tragic things happen, well, yeah, when tragic things, but like even like a grandparent's death, as much as like anybody else's, when someone close to you goes, then you do kind of do a bit of reevaluating. So that's maybe the way that they thought about it. She was like, time to be truthful, change my life, do something different.
I mean, I know she was in the middle of obviously like messed up headspace. I'm like, wow, I'm not like surprised. She just came out and was like, I love Antonio. At the same time, I'm just like, why'd you have to say that? Like, this none of this was well thought out. Like none of this was, you did not give any of this proper time. Like this is if we were looking at this from the aspect of like those two cinema dads on the couch, I think they're called cinema therapy. You might like them, Ben. I think Rob might like them as well, especially. But
That you remind me of one of them. Was I saying one of them's Rob and one of them's
um, Alec or Ben?
I think I might have said it was Ben.
Oh well, yeah. So they remind her of you and Rob. There you go, Ben.
Oh.
I've forgotten the reason why now. Like explain that properly. One of them cries a lot, so he's Rob.
Which film was that? They cried quite a bit. It was an emotional one.
Talking, I think it was the Forrest Gump one.
Yeah, Forrest Gump, man. That's a good film though. Obviously, it hits deep issues.
Oh, speaking of which, you see the film that they were watching in this film was Philadelphia, starring Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington.
You did. You say the film?
No.
I was like, do you know what film is playing? I was like, I know. I recognized him.
It's like the guy from Forrest Gump, and I was like Tom Hanks, but I wasn't.
No, I said Tom Hanks. You didn't say that out loud.
I did say that.
No.
And I was
No, I said the guy from Forrest Gump, and then I said like 10 seconds later, Tom Hanks, and then you was just like the guy from Forrest Gump. That's basically how you're calling him. You never said Tom Hanks out loud because you were on your phone busy. But yeah, what was I say? Yeah, I think the main thing is that it, yeah, all those kind of decisions she made was so not well thought out at all. It at the same time, it's like this has such an even more negative impact on her. And this is probably why I was just like, because of how bad the consequences were, it just made me think of it in a different light. Because before, until she did that mess, I thought of, oh, I Am Love. You've got the son showing his love of his family, his kind of their heritage, where they've come from, where they are now, his fiance. You've got the daughter finding her true love. You've got their relationship, like the Tilda Swinton and her husband, which ain't the best, but you see that love between her and her children. Like you see all these versions of love, and it's like, oh, this is cool. And then she does nonsense, and I'm just like, what is this? and the, and what makes it worse is that she where can she go? Like she does not she basically doesn't really remember her family or her past. And I'm sure those memories will come back. But does she have a place to go to? She literally just disappeared.
That's the cable and home. I'm like, what is this? I did not like the cave in the credits really weird.
That made sense though. They it's a place near the place where he wants to do the restaurant in it. And they
Yeah,
hike
we
up
don't
there
have
sometimes.
very much context for it.
Oh, in my head it made sense because we've seen them hiking near there before and up there. So
What is this the shot in that we're seeing? It's just
because
random.
it's like a way to show this is where she's gone. This is how she's getting some kind of consolation of like what's happening. Because no one, she can't go to anyone else to console her right now with what she's going through. Um, it's just to basically show what's happened, I guess. But but yeah, she doesn't really have anywhere to go to. I don't like I assume with their money she has proper papers and everything, but it's more of a like she didn't have like an official job, so she would need to get a job. Like there's so many things that it's just not.
She's gonna have absolutely nothing. And even if like if it was an amicable split, then maybe her husband might have been helpful and like set her up in some way, shape, or form. But given the circumstances, like your son's just died, you're having an affair with his friend, and then you just leave, and oh, and the son's fiance is pregnant. Like you just left the family. Like everyone's gonna be, a lot of people are gonna be very upset. So yeah, she's gonna have absolutely nothing because all her money, everything is going to be tied up in him. But they're also a very, very well connected family that they have the means to just make her life completely miserable if she tries to reestablish herself. She's
Yeah,
really sad.
exactly, which is why I was so like, yeah, you really did not think any of this through. So impulsive. And what's really sad and common about a lot of real life versions of this is that the relationship they've gone away to doesn't last because it wasn't built on any kind of foundations, any decent kind of foundations. The chances of them making it and staying together in the future is not good.
I don't think they're supposed to. And I think they know they're not supposed to.
And that's what makes it even worse. It's like you left everything for what?
The thing is, I feel like her relationship with, first off, her marriage is like, I've never seen two people with less chemistry than her and her husband. The marriage is bad.
Mm.
Her kids don't really need her anyway. Her whole life is tied up in being a wife and a mother and this kind of socialite figure within kind of Milan society. What is wrong with this game?
It's not the game, it's the TV. Just carry me.
It's how it just keeps unmuting itself. Yeah, everything that she does is just tied up in looking after other people and serving other people. She doesn't have any of her own identity, and like, not that I condone having an affair, but obviously, imagine
Silently condoning people during this situation.
Not that I think she should have cheated on her husband, but I recognize that she's trying to find herself and she's trying to find her own meaning and rediscover kind of what it is to be alive. So I remember reading this in the past, but I couldn't find where it's written, but I read somewhere that I think it's when she tries Antonio's food at the restaurant, the color grading in the film changes slightly and it gets slightly brighter because suddenly she's got interest and color in her life for the first time, like ever, or not ever, but in a long time. And I think that's really and that's why her daughter's like smiling and crying at the end. She's crying because it's a very emotional, sad moment, but she also understands her mum's need to leave a situation where she doesn't feel free to be herself, the same way she left a situation where she didn't feel free to be herself. If Pat give his opening statement.
Yeah, Pat, opening statement time.
I'm not going to get too much into the story because I think you guys covered it. I didn't really connect with it like I'd want, especially where the way you guys have described what you've thought of it. In theory, that should be something that I could get my teeth stuck into, but I just think there was the way that they told the story, and it wasn't even the fact that it was a foreign film. It was just I felt the way it was constructed just didn't resonate with me. However, the acting was superb. Like the fact that Tilda Swinton learned 2 languages just for this role was commendable. Characters all sort of had problems, but I really liked where I didn't like the construction of the story. I loved the construction of the characters, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
I thought that was done really well. I gave Purpose a higher score because of Tilda Swinton taking her time to learn Russian and Italian for the role. But yeah, it's just something I just couldn't really get into. But yeah, acting and production, like the score was pretty good. But yeah, I don't think there's really much I can really add because I wouldn't say it's a bad film. I'm not going to sit here and hammer it to death. My story score is a little bit on the low side because of how it was constructed, and I always put enjoyment and story kind of hand in hand with each other. Because if I feel like I get into it in a way that I can sort of enjoy the piece, even if it's something that's like really dark and sinister and shouldn't be enjoyed, it's the enjoyment just sort of watching the story unfold, and I just don't think I got it from this, but it was at least well worth a watch for the acting.
That's fair.
Oh, hello, Rob.
Hello, sorry I'm late.
I was like,
okay? What happened?
Dan and Coral came round, and well, you know what Dan's like. Once you get him going, he can talk the arse off a donkey. So
Oh, he wants to join. They can join.
It's done
think-
now.
That was the only one that saw them. I think no one spotted them. Come on.
Yeah, no, because
But why were
they
they
came
there?
round. Huh?
Why would they come round? What's the reason?
I don't know. I said I was because I'm at my mum's, and I said I was here, and they were like,
Oh,
we'll
I
come round."
see.
I was
Yeah.
like, okay.
Oh,
They're just
okay,
like,
that
oh,
makes
you're in the
sense.
neighborhood.
You're in the
Why
neighborhood.
not?
I mean, I'd
Yeah.
probably do the same thing if I lived near you. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so close, isn't it? I forget that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like just round the corner, isn't
Yeah, but then I'll come on the call afterwards with you.
it? To be fair, like I feel like this is a film that you can't like you can't go in blind and talk about this one.
Yeah, this isn't a classic that everyone can just like, oh yeah, this is fun.
Did you watch the film?
That would be the turn up of the entirety of film club if Dan was like, oh yeah, I know that one.
Oh yeah, I am love. It's really good.
I love Italian film star Tilda Swinton as a Russian.
Okay. Yeah. What's
whatever.
your opening statement, Rob? Everyone's giving theirs. Did you
I
want to sum up anything? Okay. I was gonna say she wanted to sum up why she picked it, so you didn't miss that part. But yeah, she basically wanted to see you guys' take on it. She likes the film and thinks it's beautiful, nicely shot. It's just nice overall.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. I think it reminded me a lot of Wong Kar-wai, like particularly like In the Mood for Love, which I still really want to pick at some point. But yeah, I thought it was a really nice little film. I think I wouldn't say I really connected with the story very much, but I did really enjoy like the technical aspects of it. I think like just in terms of like how it was shot and like how it sounded, and even like to an extent the casting was really interesting. Because I felt like with Tilda Swinton specifically, you could tell that she couldn't speak the language that she was speaking, but I was kind of like, I feel like that's the point. Like it's, yeah, I thought it was really interesting, and I don't know, like it's kind of a, it's kind of a difficult one to sum up, really. I feel like I'm probably gonna take a lot from it on a second watch because I'm gonna watch it with Rachel tomorrow night as well. And yeah, yeah, it feels like there was a lot of interesting stuff going on. But yeah, for me particularly, a lot of the appreciation I've got for it is just the technical aspects. I thought they were all really cool.
I agree with that, Rob. I think there's a lot of technical things that I'm just like, that's really interesting. And also on being able to tell that Tilda Swinton doesn't speak Italian. There were a couple of times when her accent just wasn't, like, you could tell that she wasn't a native speaker in comparison to other people. And we would debate when she said something to kind of 2/3 of the way through, and Emmanuel was like, was that Russian or is that Italian?
It's the part just before he dies.
And I think we were saying how, like, either she said something in Russian or she said something in Italian, but like got the accent wrong because like it was a deliberate move because the character is not Italian. I thought that kind of also kind of showed her otherness of like how she's kind of assimilated into this culture, but she doesn't really belong, and she still kind of gets things wrong from time to time. And even when it looks like she's getting it completely right, if you know what you're listening for, if you're comparing her to other people, then you can tell she doesn't quite fit in.
Yeah. I thought that was a really interesting thing because I was kind of going like, am I like drawing her out because it's Tilda Swinton and she's like someone who I'm familiar as an actress who isn't like in this world, or is it like a deliberate choice that she's somebody who is like like it's kind of like, am I like projecting it onto her that she's not part of this world, or is it that she's deliberately been casted because she's not? And I do think it was a deliberate choice. Like I think it's really interesting because like there's so many layers to it, because it's like she's playing somebody who is an outsider, but she's an outsider for a different reason than why she's an outsider in real life, kind of thing. Yeah, it's really interesting to watch it from that point of view. And I don't know, like it's kind of a it's kind of a weird one, because I do feel like with somebody like her, you are always like a bit drawn to her. Like she's one of those actresses who has that kind of like thing where you kind of I don't know, you just find, well, I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but I find myself like paying attention to what she's saying. So when it is this context of her like speaking a language that she doesn't actually speak, it's kind of, yeah, that's where I was going, like, am I more like conscious of it because I know that beforehand? But yeah, no, I do think it comes across as a deliberate casting choice.
Yeah, it's not just you. She's a particularly kind of striking actress, actor herself. She has a presence to her, which is similar to a thespian, like the way Benedict Cumberbatch and different thespians, when they go into film, kind of just draw people in the way they'll kind of go about lines and deliver them. I feel like, me personally anyway, I feel like she has a similar aura to that. And she can just
Yeah,
take some lines and really deliver them in a way that makes you want to listen.
I know what you mean. Like, I suppose there is like a bit of like I don't know, like it's something that maybe becomes like second nature kind of thing. Because I guess if you come from a context where you're having to like not get a crowd on your side, but like essentially get a room full of people to listen to you every night, it probably is something that like you take the subtleties of it with you.
My painkillers. Actually, she joined the Royal Shakespeare Company in 1984.
Well, nice.
It's started on stage.
Did you guys hear that? Oh, I'll wait till um I'll wait till Rob's done, so I won't repeat it. You all right, Rob?
Oh yeah, my mum was just looking for something.
Cool. Camilla just said she did actually start off in the Shakespeare Company.
Oh really?
And what did you say about it?
In 1984, she joined the Royal Shakespeare.
1984. I can't believe she's old enough to have joined them in 1984.
In the 60s, I think.
Really?
IMDb.
Although I suppose, to be fair, if this film was like what 15 years ago, then
Yeah.
I suppose there's quite a difference between like mid 40s and 60s.
Yeah, 63.
Wow.
But also, this film was in development for 11. Her and Luca, what's his name? Wadine. Whatever the producer and director's name is. They were kind of working on this film for 11 years before they ended up making it.
Yeah, that's mad.
So I think that probably was a deliberate choice, because they probably had many, many conversations about it. And that's probably also why the film was so long, because it took 11 years for them to take it from concept and made. There was just way too much material to throw at it. So it was one of his first few films.
Oh, really?
It's funny, like looking at the.
They can't hear you when you speak that low, sorry. She said,
Like what?
especially some of his first films, like it was one of his first films. And then afterwards he did Call Me by Your Name or something. He said.
Oh, really? It's the same guy.
Yeah,
Oh, wow. Okay.
he did. Mm. Yeah, so he did The Protagonists and then Melissa P and then this film and then like then the ones we know him for, like Call Me by Your Name and Challenges, our favorite movie from this year.
We watched a film called Challenges.
Yeah, we watched a film called Challenges.
It's the one about tennis.
Oh,
Yes.
I forgot it existed. Sorry, that wasn't on purpose. I genuinely forgot.
To be honest, now that I know that he did Call Me by Your Name and Challenges, even though it's not really, I mean, they're not really related other than he's the director, but I think the common thread between them is that I really like his scores. But the score of Challenges is completely different to this.
It was the score for Challengers was Trent Reznor involved.
It's Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. But I
Yeah,
really like I really
that's what
like the
we got.
mixing more than anything else because like it's kind of like a typical Trent Reznor score, but the way that it's mixed and it kind of like interrupts the dialogue, I thought was really cool.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I forgot that we yeah those reasons we like the score. Didn't like too much else.
Oh really?
But I okay, put it this way.
I can't remember what I didn't like about it.
Challengers, I remember.
I think everyone was just annoying. Like I didn't want to root for a single one of the characters, and I think that was just getting on my nerves a bit.
I think like the thing with Challenges for me is it was a bit of like a I don't know, like it's a bit of I don't know, it's a bit of a strong term, but like it's like an uncanny valley kind of thing. Seeing Zendaya play that kind of character, because I was like, this doesn't feel like you.
I, which is quite funny considering I didn't really get to grips with this one that much.
It's really funny when she was promoting Challenges, and then someone pointed it out in an interview, like someone who was interviewing her was like, can we talk about the Spider-Man's girlfriend to play in a tennis star pipeline? Because it seems like the last three Spider-Man's girlfriends have ended up in a movie like about tennis. So that way it makes sense.
I saw one interview where like the interviewer was like, "Oh, a lot of people are asking you about the kissing scenes," and she was like, "I know, a lot of people are."
I like Zendaya.
I forgot about it.
But also this film was apparently I Am Love is a trilogy that he did that what was it? The Desired trilogy. Where did I just put my phone? That is I Am Love and then A Bigger Splash, which I've not seen, and then Call Me by Your Name is like the last film in the trilogy that I don't.
Do you know what? I didn't even realise A Bigger Splash was the same guy, but A Bigger Splash I hated. I thought it was really like. Do you know what? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, A Bigger Splash is kind of like it's all the negatives that this could have had because I felt it went into like a really like elitist view of the world, and it was kind of like, for want of a better word, like to me it just registered as like snooty. It was kind of like I don't know. I felt it was very exclusive in a bad way. Um, yeah, I can see how you would go from this to A Bigger Splash, but I feel like this is so much more restrained and so much more like I don't know, open maybe. Um, yeah, but I can see how the same person would have made both, but yeah, I really do feel like A Bigger Splash is a bad example of what this could have been.
Interesting.
Just to finish, because I was trying to say what I thought about Challenges.
Oh, sorry, man.
It's okay. I was just like, no. The it was very similar to what Camilla said, but basically, the score wise, visually, it was good, but yeah, the characters just annoyed me, and their choices and whatnot. It's just, yeah. So it meant, like she was saying with the routine thing, it meant I could care less about any of the characters, especially at the end of the film. It's just like, yeah, that ending does nothing for me because I've already just given up on them.
Yeah. It did feel like it was kind of like a bit of like a film festival film, because it was kind of like I don't know, like a lot. I feel like film festivals a lot of the time can like bring out the worst in people, because everyone's looking for like something to either like really love or to just shit on. And I feel like it was made for that kind of environment, and so there wasn't really, yeah, there wasn't really much outside of kind of like that sort of, like it felt like it was kind of trying to make you go like, oh wow, that just happened a lot. And it's like, well, if that's the only thing that happens, is that you're going, oh wow, that happens, it don't really mean much.
Yeah.
Really nice score though. Can't take anything away from that.
Can we talk about that sex scene for a minute?
Why
Yeah,
not?
we can.
Just
Yeah, let's
wait.
go into it minute by minute. Go into it minute by minute, Pat. Every scene.
It's just the way it was shot. Like, it was the one in the field, and I was like, I thought I was about to watch something on Pornhub for a minute. I want to watch this bloke's.
Oh, I don't mind.
Oh. Yeah, it was just the way it was shot. I was like, bloody hell.
I do think he's kind of known for that though, because well, Call Me by Your Name and Challenges doesn't go as far, but it's a similar thing. Like it's very like almost invasive the way that he films stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did feel like something where it was just like, I don't feel like I should be watching. Like it feels kind of voyeuristic. Like
Yeah, it really was. It was almost like you're there with them.
But I wouldn't be surprised if like his backstory was similar to Brian De Palma's, because like with Brian De Palma, like a lot of his films are about people who are like watching things or people who are listening to things and that kind of thing. Like with like how Blowout is about the sound recorder and things like that. It's about people who are like removed from a situation but are observing it. And apparently it all comes from because when he was a kid, his stepdad gave him a camera, so he used to like secretly film like his family members. And apparently he ended up like recording loads of like really sort of like family secret kind of stuff. Like, so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy comes from like a similar place of like growing up with that kind of like access to stuff.
Yeah, I thought you was gonna be like, I can't remember who was the one, if it was him or someone else who did the Boogie Nights. They started off doing porn or something.
Oh, that was Paul Thomas Anderson, but no, he started off running a theatre, I think.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking, is there someone who did that? I can't remember. But anyway.
Doesn't Quentin Tarantino own like a production company now or something like that?
Yeah, I think he does. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. It pretty sure.
But I do think like a lot of those like a lot of directors from that kind of time probably came from seeing that differently to how we do now.
Yeah, because they grew up in the 70s, didn't they? And they're kind of customized by it, and they're used to this way of filmmaking, so they kind of led that into their own work.
Mm,
I can see that coming.
yeah.
It reminds me of one of my favorite scenes from this. I think Camilla mentioned it earlier when Tilda Swinton's character, like she has the first taste of the meal that she's been served by what's his name, Antonio, or
Yeah,
and
exactly.
yeah, and she literally just gets like so overwhelmed with emotions by the taste and sensation and everything, and he just the way the score just builds so like intensely at that moment, and the camera cinematography is just so like lush and kind of like vibrant and intense, and it's just her just eating, and there's just like, and then it cuts a hard cut to her being like, oh wait, what am I doing? I'm being distracted. I thought that was really really good, just to how her mind is kind of like portrayed in film, or what she's going through. She's just like, not just because she's been served something really nice and something tasty, she's kind of doesn't know what to feel in her mind in terms of like her romantic feelings towards him and her husband as well. It's just a lot of interesting stuff going on at once, and it's
Yeah.
just a really clever scene.
Yeah, I did really like that actually, like because there's a lot of there's a lot of like feeling behind everything. I think like everything's quite like I don't know what the word is for it really, but it sort of it came across to me as if everything was trying to make me feel how the character in that scene would feel. Like everything's very like vivid and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, like maybe like experiential. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's trying to bring you to the point of view of the character to really understand what she's thinking or feeling without just giving exposition.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that's the thing for me. Like it was kind of like when I was reading the chat yesterday or today. I can't remember. I watched it last night, so it must have been today. But I was reading the chat, and I think Alex said it wasn't the most dynamic film, and I was kind of thinking, like, wasn't it? Like, I felt like I had quite a dynamic time.
That's the newest phrase of his that I hate. My pure problem with the film was I didn't really engage with it, even though like listening to everyone else's takes on the story, like
Yeah.
something that I could get my teeth into, but I just couldn't.
Yeah, I don't think it's the most relatable of narratives, but I do think the way that it's like told is really effective. Just because it's like I kind of got, I kind of got to the end and I was kind of going like, oh, okay, so that's what it's like to be a Russian in Italy.
But what I'd say is I went back to something that you said a while back, that not every film should be made for everyone.
Mm.
And I think this is probably the case that it is for me, like where it's something that then you liked it a good bit more, whereas I just didn't connect with it. But like I said before you arrived, I thought the acting was outstanding.
Mm.
Like I gave it a higher purpose score because Tilda Swinton learnt 2 languages for it.
Mm.
Actually really impressive, because I'm pretty sure I watched this for the first time when I was learning Italian in uni, and I couldn't get pronunciations right. So even though like her accent is inconsistent at some points, it is not. I mean, most languages aren't for English people, but it's like it's so tricky to speak Italian and speak Italian like at a normal conversational tone where you sound like you're talking like you've got a good level of experience with the language. Like that's so difficult. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for that.
I read a few of the reviews on Letterboxd after I watched it, and most of them were saying the same thing, and it was like it was all about like how certain scenes are shot and kind of stuff that you would expect from like his other films as well, like just kind of like the experience of watching it and all that kind of stuff. But there was one that really made me laugh because, and it was such a like it was a shit poster. I don't know why it made me laugh so much, but it was just, oh wow, I didn't realise David Bowie could speak Italian.
What?
Oh, it's because of Tilda.
That's not funny thing.
We can't be
Think-
heroes.
Saying
Well,
that,
one day.
oh, man. Saying that, one thing I was struck by, the
A spoof criminal?
huh?
You said you were struck by a criminal.
Oh man, that's a good one.
Sorry.
That's all right. Trin, is it Tancredi? Tancredi. The husband. He made me think of. I'm trying to think. He reminds me of an actor, but without all the beard, and he's cleaned up and smooth shaven. And I'm trying to think who he reminds me of. I have to.
The guy who's currently married to Lily Allen.
Who's married to Lily Allen?
Oh, I know who you
Guy
mean.
from Walking Dead.
Yeah, that bloke. What's his name? That dude. The guy from what's it called? It was in what's it? Oh, that would know. Oh,
Isn't he like he's got like a Danish name, isn't
yeah.
It's
I don't know who I-
I
celebrity stuff anymore. So
he? He's in.
Oh, Pat would know him though.
Isn't it Mark something?
David Harbour.
Harbour.
That's
That's
him.
it.
Oh, yeah, I
Stranger
was
Things.
way off.
David Harbour. And Thunderbolts.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's who I was talking about. Thanks. I was imagining him like it was either him or someone else. But point is, he reminds me of like I think him and maybe one other guy. But I think it was because did David Harbour play Scarlet Black Widow's
Yes.
dad?
The dad in Black Widow.
Oh, it was more like the uncle or something. It was like Florence Pugh's brother was, or maybe something like that.
Him and Rachel Weisz are her parent. Her and
Yeah, he-
Lauren's parent.
It related to, yeah, regardless, in the Black Widow movie.
Yeah.
Something.
But yeah, I was imagining him like that in my head and think, oh, that could be him, but he let go. He's like really rough around the edges, like the face wise. It's like anyway. Just about it.
when you were saying she was married to someone from The Walking Dead, I was like, surely she ain't married to Jeffrey Dean Morgan. First person I thought of.
To be fair, like her and David Harbour's a bit of a random combination as well.
It was really random. I don't think anyone really knew they were together until they got married, and then it was like, and they got married in Vegas or something. So it was like, wait,
Yeah, it was really sudden. It was like, oh yeah, they're married, and that was it. And it was like, oh,
Because didn't they meet on that like celebrity dating app or something? I can't remember what it's called. Like Raya or something. I don't know.
yeah, it's called,
wait,
yeah.
there's an app for it. Jesus.
Yeah, there's literally like it's invitation only for like celebrities and like
I forgot about this.
people who want to meet celebrities. Like, I don't know.
That sounds a bit dodgy.
Yeah.
You know, it makes sense in theory because of the lives they lead.
Yeah. Usually I just thought that, oh, they met on set or something. She was just invited and that was it.
No, apparently it's that.
Well, good luck to him.
But yeah, it's one of those things. Like it kind of had to be an app because it's like, where were you two in the same room at the same time?
Oh yeah, we recently watched an architect's thingy of their house, of their flat
A house
house.
with the carpet in the bathroom.
Oh my
I think I
goodness.
can remember the carpet in the bathroom.
It's like why
Yeah.
why is your place like this?
It was
I tell you what,
very
when we were house hunting, there was one place with like a huge bathroom where it was like this old woman, and she'd like changed the layout of her house, so it went from being a 3 bedroom to a 2 bedroom. So because she wanted a bathroom upstairs, which was like it was kind of like a party bathroom. Like it was really weird. Like it was a huge room, and the floors and the walls were all carpeted. It was really weird.
Floors and the walls.
In a bathroom as well, yeah.
I feel like that must smell really of mildew.
Yeah, as soon as we walked in there, I was like, there is so much mold underneath this. Like, if that's been there for years, there's horrible things growing in this room.
Oh my goodness. That is yeah, that's not what you should be doing.
Uh,
Ill advised. Anyway, sorry to derail the conversation.
So,
Oh yeah. Some of the things I found sus.
this should be a regular segment.
It like I I didn't necessarily blame any of the characters for doing what they did, even if I was annoyed with what they done. Actually, I'm not including Tilda Swinton's character in that. I do blame her. But anyway, uh so when Eduardo, no, not Eduardo, when Antonio shows up randomly with this cake, I was just like, wait, your opponent shows up with a cake. Usually it's Eduardo's family's winning, or no, it's usually sorry, Antonio winning. Oh, it was usually Eduardo winning. Okay, cool. So usually it's Eduardo winning. So basically an underdog who's also known to be good, I think. But anyway, he wins. Okay. Is he trying to take out the competition so he can keep winning? He's a chef. He can disguise poisons.
I mean, I can go. Depends on the poison.
It could taste like almonds and be cyanide. Almond cake is very popular and well liked. Anyway, point is, if it was me, and I'm not blaming Eduardo at all, obviously nothing happened, and it's not that type of film. But I don't think I could have eaten the cake. So it's just like, this seems a bit funny. I mean, I know I'm more suspicious and less trusting, but I don't know. It's the kind of stuff that happens sometimes in films and things and books. And suddenly, next thing you know, they're dead or something's been robbed. I don't know. You know what? I'm okay.
It was so suspicious.
So, what did you say?
So suspicious.
Yeah, because I was just like, why are you bringing a cake? Even they were surprised. I was like, this is not a custom. This is not, otherwise they would not be this surprised. Like, yeah, why are you bringing a cake here? I don't understand what's going on. But anyway,
I think some sort of context with the race would have been useful in understanding that, because just because you race against someone, that doesn't mean like you know where the house is, for example. Like I know this is like this really like well-to-do, basically aristocratic family, so maybe it's just a known thing where the house is. But I knocked it down on story because it's always bothered me that what is this race? Why are they racing? Why is it relevant who wins? Why is your opponent brought you a cake? It's like, yeah, we need a setup for them to meet, but it just feels straight. Like it just feels weird. Like I don't think there's ever enough to kind of make sense of it. And I know you were confused when we were watching it because it jumps to a few months later and they are besties. And it's like it could have, like, especially because we don't see what happens in between. I brought you a cake and being best friends, that I just feel like there would have been so many more interesting ways to have it, that the son makes friends with this guy who is a chef, and like they're super excited about their new friendship and they're going into business together, and like everything else could still happen. So like, what is the purpose of this race? And also, why are they racing when there's snow on the ground? I thought like athletics season was like spring, not like when like the Christmas trees up and there's snow on the ground.
That's a good point. When does horse racing like?
No, it was running, wasn't it?
No, it was horse racing, wasn't it? Actually, yeah. What race was it? I thought it was a
It's
horse.
just a race.
I
You
thought
know
It
what?
was
So I just moved from the front room to my bedroom, and as I moved, my Wi-Fi disconnected and it went to 5G, and so it lagged a bit, and all I heard was his opponent a cake. They're best friends. Why a cake? And I feel like that's enough for me to be like, yeah, I agree with you.
man, yeah. But we were trying to kind of remember. Was it what type of race was it? I thought it was a horse race. She thought it was a physical race, running
Wait,
race.
why did you think it was a horse race?
I thought, and like maybe I read the subtitles wrong because I wasn't in the best state. But I thought I read some kind of horse race or something like in my head, and maybe it was context as well. Neither of them looked like athletes,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of rich families who own horses. So I thought they were, the way I read it, I thought they were talking about horses they owned, and their horse always usually wins, but it got beat by this upstart
Alright.
because the other people didn't want them to win. So I thought it was a horse race because that made sense in my head.
thing is that they're not the right size for horse racing either.
I mean,
I mean, Antonio is not actually a bad size for it, but also Eduardo, I thought it was more the case he owned the horse. He didn't race the horse. I didn't think he was a horse racer himself. I thought that sorry, Pat,
they are Italian, so it might have been a motor race.
it could be.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
I was going to say maybe it's because you used to manage a betting shop, but three of us did.
yep.
Don't bring me back to those dark times.
That is very true. But yeah, I whatever the case is, I feel like it was not that they were physically racing, but maybe Eduardo is more involved in actual racing, but I feel like their family owns something that is involved in racing, which a lot of rich people have at that level of wealthiness that they were. That's why I didn't really think too much about it, because I was just like, that's pretty normal. And they're teasing him about it.
Yeah, I get what you mean. To be fair, like I think it's it's one of those things that you could see it well in a different film. To be fair, but it's one of those things you could see being played off as a joke, like where they kind of like set it up for you to just make your own conclusion that it's horse racing, but it's just two unathletic dudes on foot.
Actually, horse racing makes even less sense. Again, snow on the ground. Do people horse race when it's snowing?
No, I think they used to cancel it when it
Like
snowed,
it's
didn't they? I don't know.
dangerous.
But yeah, Rob and Pat. This is what I was trying to remember. Because they usually happen. There's horse racing all year round, isn't there? But it usually switches locations in different countries, right?
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
in the winter, it's always like it's like the Kentucky one and the Dubai course, isn't it?
I mean, we do have like winter meetings here, but it does have to meet a criteria. So, I believe if it's snowed or it's icy conditions, the meeting's cancelled offhand. But like if there's been a bit of rain, it's why they say like a standard race course is good to firm kind of thing, and then stuff like that. But icy conditions or waterlogging obviously cancels the meeting.
Because it's all to do with like how hard the ground is, right? Because if
Yeah,
it's too hard or too soft, then it's bad for the horses.
yeah, it's to protect the horses' legs because their legs are
Yeah.
like sticks, aren't they? So, and like once their legs break, brings the horrible situation where they put the horse down. So they try to avoid that.
Yeah, it's
That being said, I don't think I would like to have a race in the snow either.
Nah, I've tried before. I cut my face.
But also, I'd also not want my horse to have a race in the snow. So yeah.
Oh man, funny. But yeah, what were we talking about before that? Oh yeah, suspicious things.
You and you segment.
But what was I gonna say? So yeah, what was the first thing? Yeah, the cake thing. So yeah, there was the cake thing, and I was pretty suspicious about that. And then yeah, like you said, when they jumped forward, I was just like, because nothing was explained, I assumed the wrong thing, and I was just like, does Antonio love him? Like the way they're interacting, or the way he's looking at him, it, I'm not sure. And then obviously Camilla had saw it before, so she's like, no, it's not that. And then explained afterwards, it might be more of a thing that he he knows he needs help setting up this restaurant that he doesn't have the money to set up. So he needs help. So if he ingratiates himself within their family, then he could get that help. Yeah, he makes a friend he's fortunately made a friend in the process, but there's that aspect of it that did this whole relationship start in the weirdest way it did because he was looking to get some money, some funding.
I think it did. I think I don't know if it was as kind of calculated as that, but I think the taking the cake round to this guy's house, knowing his family, so there's a real family that they're based on that literally like they are aristocrats from when like Italy was basically a bunch of different kingdoms. Like that's how far, well, not far back, but that's how far this family's history goes. Um, and on a side note, some family members from that family make cameos in the film, and they film a lot of scenes in the family's buildings around Milan. But
Really?
anyway, this aristocratic family,
Ooh.
they're a big name, they're super wealthy. I think he takes an opportunity and he's like, if I make friends with this person, it may bring me other opportunities. I don't know if he's literally going, I'm going to try and buddy up to this guy so that I can get money to go and do this thing that I want to do. but I think that it's opportunity is kind of within his thoughts in like taking the cake round, just because as I say, like, it would be a good family to have on your side. So I think there's a bit of that.
Okay.
But that's why I don't find it sus.
He's still sus. Like that's not a good thing. This is not genuine. The start of it anyway. But what was I gonna say? The second the next two things I was just like, what is going on? One, not so much, just a tiny bit. But when she was she had all the kind of thingy music of the when she's rushing after Antonio
San Remo.
in San Remo. And I was just trying to figure out, why is the music so dramatic? What is going on? I don't understand. Like, they both have reason to be in San Remo. Is she thinking in her head, oh, he must be unsavory. He must be up to something. I've got to follow him and not let him see me. I, I was like, why is this what's in her head that she can't just ask him a question? What is it that she wants to know? Obviously I was off the mark completely. But
Because I feel like you had missed the part where flashbacks of the like she in the preview, in like not the previous scene, in the transition between that scene and the previous scene, she's remembering that she can go to San Remo to see her daughter, because she's going to go and see her daughter in Nice. And she's also remembering him saying at the restaurant, oh, I grow my vegetables myself in San Remo. She went there with the hopes of seeing him. And I think the music's like that because she's unsure what she wants to do. And she's basically like infatuated with this guy who is young enough to be her son, and she's married. And she's a bit like, I've come to this town under the guise of going to see my child, but I'm actually really hoping I bump into him. Oh my gosh, there he is. What do I do now?
it's not that I didn't hear those conversations. Remember when she said at the dinner table, this is when my suspicion started that that's what she was thinking about. So this is the problem. I was already thinking that before that, which then confirmed my thoughts. But basically, at the dinner table, the fiance said, "Yeah, I don't think it's wise him trying to set this restaurant. It doesn't make sense, basically. Like they haven't done enough research. This is rushed." And then, with her good acting, Tilda Swinton like had her character be like, yeah, but no, it's not the case. He's very intelligent, blah blah, in a way that looked unbelievable. She had doubts herself about the whole thing, and I started to go, wait, what is she thinking about? She always obviously has doubts about it. What is she thinking about this? Then hearing the voices made me think she's suspicious of this guy. He's got cooking this good, but I don't really know him. Then she sees him and she's rushing to catch up, but she doesn't want to be seen. That's the moves of someone who's trying to find out incriminating evidence about someone that they don't know a lot about. In a lot of films, that is an actual thing in plot. So that's where my head was going because I again, I'm not good with social cues and stuff like that anyway, but I saw no cues for her to be liking one and suddenly get it on with this guy. I saw none of that because it wouldn't make sense in my head. But when she's not really demonstrated anything, and she also questioned him before that whole kind of trip, but it's like she didn't finish her line of questioning and then just left. And I'm just like, what was she trying to get at? Why was she asking him that question? It felt like she had more to ask, but didn't ask it. So it's just like, huh? And then after that, he's still thinking, okay, she's just more suspicious and wants to find out more about him. And him going, oh, I can show you to the restaurant, which in my head sounded like, you know what, he really wants to get this family on his side. He wants that money. He wants that backing. To have the mom behind it as well would be great. And then he kind of he underplays how far this freaking place is. And I was just like, at this point, this is why I would say this is another sus part to me. I was just like, in any other kind of American or British film, I feel like this is the point where this guy you don't know well, he's just kind of popped up in your son's life like a year ago, and suddenly they're best friends, and he's investing in his restaurant, all this kind of stuff. Suddenly he's just driving you to the middle of who knows where. And how long are you driving to this place where he said, oh, it's just a short trip. It's just a slight detour. So this guy is lying. He's driving you to some random place you don't know. You're by yourself. That was all just flags, warning flags in my head going, maybe you should be turning back or get out the car and walk, because this don't seem right. Of course, I was very surprised when what happened, but in a lot of films, that is a red flag.
I mean, there are still red flags, but he also missed the flag of she's into him.
And what were and I know I missed them, but what were the flags where uh she showed she it showed she was into him?
I think it's what I was saying before when she first tries his food and the kind of everything gets really vivid. And I think that it kind of his cooking kind of awakens something in her, and she's intrigued by him. She wants to know more about him. Like when she goes up to him after the lunch, when her mother-in-law's waiting for her, I don't think that was just like politeness. I think like she was intrigued by this man.
I didn't think it was politeness. I
And
thought she wanted to find out something and was suspicious about him and
which
didn't
is
finish her line of questioning because she stopped talking and didn't fully form her words and just walked off.
which is fair, but I think I can't remember properly now, but I just feel like this quite subtle sense of her being into him, because if I remember rightly, there's also the party. Yeah, the party had come before this when she goes into the kitchen and she sees him there and she kind of lingers and pauses for a second before I think then her son shows up and is like, oh, why are you down here? Oh,
Yeah, it's a
Antonio's in
random
the kitchen.
it's a random guy that's not anyone she knows in her kitchen. I would hang around and watch him too. Like, who's this guy in my kitchen?
But I think she knows that he's the one who's doing the food. She would have been told that. Given
I,
that given that her husband had signed off on a budget for it, I'm sure she knew who was doing the menu.
she seemed surprised.
I think that's because she liked him.
And fair enough. But because we're coming at this from very different angles, I'm coming at it from a very suspicious angle.
We can go
That makes me think of the meme. I think Ben posted in the meme chat We're caught in a trap.
So that's what.
I know, but it's the character from Star Wars who's like, it's a trap.
It's a trap.
And
Yeah, Admiral Akbar.
yeah, it's a iconic character in Star Wars who the meme is like, it's a trap, but he's dressed. They put his head on Elvis Presley, singing, "We're caught in a trap."
Don't tell my dad, but I've never seen Star Wars.
I feel like he knows that.
They'd be very disappointed in me to find out.
I mean, you're not interested in that, so
I mean, just time to change that, ain't there?
Whose pick is it next? Is that a hint?
No hint. It's just film group, isn't it? Alec is next.
Yeah. Do we even know where it's going to be?
we're still
Alex-
glad you've seen
Alex-
it.
Yeah.
I was just saying from when Pat said there's time to change that, I was like, is that a hint that it's
Mm.
about to come out? Let's do favorite scenes though.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go first. My favorite scene is when she runs back in after her son dies, after the funeral and all of that. She runs back into the house, and like her maid immediately knows what's up, and like springs to action. Goes to the laundry room, starts pulling out all these clothes. They get the suitcase. They get ready for her to leave, and then like her daughter also understands what's up. So it's this really bittersweet. Someone else said earlier, it's a really bittersweet moment where it's like I feel for every single person in that room. That's been a very traumatic like few days, but I love the way that Elizabeth looks at her mum and is like smiling because she understands it, and the maid is sobbing her eyes out, but she also understands it, and it's like it's not freedom in the sense of she's losing a lot, as we already talked about, but it's freedom in the sense of she's been stifled, she's lost connection with herself, she's lost connection with her husband how many years ago. There's a few times where it's quite a subtle thing, but when I see her like go to embrace one of her children, but then like somebody else does it before she does, the first thing that comes to mind is at the train station when Elizabeth comes home and she's cut her hair, and like she's with the grandma, and she goes to hug her, but the grandma gets there first, and I just feel like she needs something for herself, and that's the moment when she finds something for herself, and I'm happy for her in that moment. I'm happy for her. I'm not happy for everybody else. I feel very sad for everyone else, but I can have sympathy for one family member and for many family members, and appreciate that another family member is doing something that really they should have done a long time ago. Like he should have found a way to leave that marriage that was miserable a while back.
The reason I'm not happy for her is because the way she did it all. Oh no, you didn't. Because the way she went about it is terrible for her. I was not even thinking about anyone else. I was thinking about her. I was like, this is gonna end terribly for you. No one else.
She needed to leave him.
I'm not happy for her.
I'm happy for that she did.
She could be in a really bad situation right now because of all of that.
She's got the chef. He can cook. And he wants his own food.
For all we know, she could end up on the streets.
Yeah, she could end up on the street.
That's why I'm not happy for her.
But her daughter, I think her daughter loves her mum and understands her mum, especially in that moment. And given that they're all grown, the daughter probably has some income that she can help her mum out. At least in the short term. The family is stupidly wealthy.
true. If saying that if she has enough sense to go back to the daughter, she could then leave to England and start anew. That would be the best result from this. Hoping she comes to some kind of sense.
She doesn't speak any English though.
It doesn't matter. How much Italian did she speak when she came to Italy?
She had a person she was coming, a very wealthy person that she was going to marry.
Her daughter speaks English and loves her. I don't think she'll have a problem learning English. She seems like she seems like the type of person who could learn a language, uh, albeit with an accent. I think she would be fine as long as she actually goes that route.
Shame that this is before Juliet go. She can't have that owl.
I mean, what she could have is what I had back at those times. Pimsleur, rent it free from the library. In London too. And she's in London. She'll be fine.
Next person's favorite scene.
Sorry, I lagged out a bit. Did you say she had Himmler?
She had what? Hemlock.
I thought she had Himmler.
Didn't have any fascists. So.
No, that's not what we said.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's great.
Pimsleur, the language. It's a language learning app.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. It's company, but they haven't app to yet. But at the time, she could have got basically audio lesson CDs from the library. Like, on top of having her daughter there to help her, she would have been fine if she, decided to go to London.
She cried herself.
I mean, I don't know. She was in grief. I mean, I hope she would have just chose that eventually. But anyway, sorry.
What's your favorite scene?
Can someone else pick? I'm still thinking.
Yeah, so the scene where I'm trying to remember it now. Where she says where she came from, like, and where she left her family in Russia. I think that was probably the best scene for me because I think you learn a little bit more about her, and it makes me want to know more about her past. I think that's probably the one scene that I really liked.
A nice moment. It's nice having some insight into kind of who she is and where she came from, but also at the beginning of the movie, when before the dinner, the granddad's birthday party, and someone says, "Do you think we'll be spared Edo's dish?" And then, lo and behold, it's served. That kind of explains the reason for that, because he was a 6-year-old and it meant something to him. And I think that also helps to explain why he's so upset when he sees the dish being served, because it's not, even if like he didn't have reasons to be suspicious that his mum was having the affair, he, off the back of his granddad, of the granddad's company being sold, like we hear from Eduardo that he's feeling this sense of grief about his heritage and his things that are like his, belong to his family, that should be his family's, kind of being given to people outside of the family. And I think that helps explain some of his upset when he sees the dish being served at that dinner, because he's like, this is a thing that's ours and you've given it to somebody else. In fact, I think he says that, and that kind of helps to explain that.
You even gave him a uha.
Yeah,
I think that's
whatever it is, I can't remember. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I think that's a nice kind of explanation of why the dish is so meaningful, because otherwise we don't know if she serves Russian food, we don't know if she speaks Russian with her kids, we don't know how much of her culture she's brought to their lives together, but understanding that's the only part of her that she's brought to her Italian life, or kept in her Italian life after all these years, then it means a lot more to her. Yeah, it's a good thing.
Plus she's a hothead.
You know,
Oh, okay,
if
hothead.
you just found out your mum who is married is sleeping with your best friend, I too would react like that. I'd be steaming mad.
To be honest, I'm not gonna pretend to I say understand or say how I would react or think how I would react, because I know it would be different. But that's not the point. It's more so I'm not blaming him. I realize that's what it sounds like. It's more that he's someone who's very much led by his emotions, which is a problem in multiple ways. When it comes to some of his more business decisions, sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. And sometimes his emotions lead him rather than him being able to kind of, steward his emotions. And this is a case where if he was able to steward his emotions at least a little bit, he'd still be alive. Obviously, no one would have seen that coming. That's just one of those unfortunate situation unfortunate events. But obviously he had a lot of built up of everything. Like you said, he's had a lot of things he feels is taken from him, and he's just reaching that boiling point. But if he could have just gone, you know what? I don't know. Like, anyway, point is, yeah, his emotions do get to him, and that ultimately led to the accident. It's a bunch of stuff. Anyway. I think my uh I have three favorite scenes. I can't pick one, so I'll just say kind of favorite scenes. I like the scene at the beginning with the whole family in the dinner table. You get to see dynamics between the family and different stuff. Thought that was kind of cool. Secondly, um, seeing the kind of brother and the sister interact when they got to see each other and so happy. And he's just like, nah, don't worry, it's a selfish thing. And then when the daughter tells the mom like who she's met, that's a real thing, et cetera, et cetera. I think those are my favorite ones. Ben, Mr. Hung.
I can't think of, apart from the scene I already said, I can't think of anything else that really like took a punch like the scene Tilda has the her first meal from Antonio. That always hits the punch for me. I suppose after that, maybe obviously the swimming pool scene for its impact, but the final scene as well, just for her confronting her husband and telling him the truth, and his like you don't exist. And that just hits hard. It just is just really good acting from both of them, because it's kind of like the way they act is so different and unexpected, and kind of like just afterwards she goes back and she goes to her maid, and they're just like, she's so angry and so like frustrated, and you feel like she's gonna just like take her anger out on her, but they just embrace and they hug, and then they just come apart and just leave, and she just vanishes after that. I thought that was quite well done, even if it was like, I suppose it is unrealistic to a point, but it's also credible as well. It kind of is in between, like maybe different people have that different reaction, but it was quite, and it was different and unexpected in terms of like the story, and realistically, it's just unusual. But I just thought it was a good, refreshing way that her character ended. It wasn't violent. It wasn't like sad or mopey or anything like that. It was just like intense sadness and emotion, and she's just like just embraces her, as she was the first person that she kind of was like always quite confounded all our emotions with. So it was poignant in that regard. Yeah. So yeah, those parts, those are my favorite bits. It's good.
Yeah, I got it good.
Yeah, that was nice. That was good.
And seal of approval.
You heard that, Ben? It's your seal of approval. It good.
Yeah, indeed.
Whose pick is it next?
Alex.
What? He's not even here. Did he message anybody to say?
He didn't tell me.
We should have to find out tomorrow when he's back from his prior engagement. I wonder what engagement it is.
Yeah. Why didn't he tell anyone?
To be fair, I didn't ask.
I mean, I don't think anyone asked it.
No, to be fair, no.
I had meant to, but then it's been a week this week.
That's okay. A lot.
And then
Yeah. I think so.
any more thoughts? We lost Rob again. A little while ago now.
Rob, where art thou? God. Sorry, that's in my head now.
Yeah, Rob has passed out probably.
Oh, I was talking, forgot I muted myself.
Yeah, you've been muted the whole time, Pat,
Oh,
for the 2 hours straight.
but
But
yeah,
it's
but we won't know now probably till the morning.
Yeah.
oh, cool.
Yeah, God knows what that would be.
Well, thank you for watching my film, guys, and being very kind and constructive about it.
We always watch them.
Oh yeah, it was
This is
worth it.
true. You've watched a lot of worse stuff.
Oh yeah, 1000%.
Courtesy of
Worse recently.
Yeah.
yeah, this is never going to be as bad as Rico.
No, like I said earlier, don't think it was a bad film. I just didn't connect with it, which is more of a me problem than the film's problem, I guess.
Yeah, which is fair. Everything isn't for everyone.
Yeah, but no, I'm glad you picked it because
Thank
it's
you.
something different, ain't it? Like if it was everything to suit my taste, it'd be a pretty boring film club.
That's a great way to look at it.
Except Antichrist and Repo, those kind of films. Sorry, man.
I've
That's
decided
okay.
on my next pick, and I think actually it's going to be a really popular one. I don't think it's like something you guys would typically watch, but I think it's going to be very popular. No, I'm joking. I don't want to talk it up. It's just a film. We'll see how you first feel about it. I'm gonna go to bed. Good night, guys. Bye.
Yeah, let's
Bye.
go. Good night, guys. Speak to you next week. Have a good sleep.
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah, take care. Bye.
Bye.